Today I'm talking about my friend Zynab and the time that this former student of mine brought her own mom to office hours. But first, the context. Zynab sat in the back of the room and I had trouble hearing her. Perhaps that's not surprising. You know what was surprising though? She was a student of mine in a first-year seminar and there were 10 students in the room. 10 students! The back of the room was only about 12 feet away. So every time Zynab spoke, I said, "Hold on a second. I can't quite hear you." And I would, perhaps uncomfortably, leave the front of the room and go right over to Zynab, where she was sitting. And sometimes I would squat down and I'd say, "All right, Zynab, I can hear you now." I'm sure she was a little mortified. Who wouldn't be? But the problem was, she spoke so quietly. She admitted to this. She didn't feel that it was respectful, that it was proper, that it was correct for her to raise her voice in the presence of a professor. Why would people want to hear from her when there's someone with a PhD and decades of teaching experience in the front of the room? It's a good question. Once when I was consulting with faculty at the Nara Institute of Science and Technology in Nara, Japan, I was meeting with a bunch of graduate students. The faculty, they wanted to teach in more engaged ways, but the graduate students would just sit silently. So I asked my charges, the people I was interrogating, questioning, "Why don't you ask questions in class?" And they told me, "Oh, it would be disrespectful to the sensei to ask questions in class because it would suggest that they had taught the subject unclearly, incompletely, or improperly." There were different cultural attitudes about speaking up. Well, Zynab had equivalent attitudes. And over the course of that quarter and the office hour visits that she would bestow upon me with her presence, we got to talking. And I said, "Zynab, you have such smart ideas. I want you to share them with me and your classmates more loudly. They also want to hear from you." I could see it in their eyes. So gradually, she did. She also continued to come to office hours during the entire year that I had taught her that first year seminar, even though it only lasted a quarter. Well, fast forward about 3 years, I was in my office working on something, and I heard 2 female voices in the hallway. They sounded like they were right outside my office door. Does it seem like I'm walking through an earthquake zone during an active earthquake? That's because of my phone. Clearly I need a gimbal for this phone. Anyway, at some point I said, "Zynab, is that you?" And it was Zynab. And she said, I'm here with my mother. I had told her about you, Dr. Jones, and that I wanted you two to meet, and I wanted one more office hour visit before I graduated. I told her, "Zynab, come into the office. Also, bring your mom." Her mom was also respectful and deferential. So I got to tell her mom a version of this story about how proud I was of Zynab to have found her voice that quarter and to assert herself in our class. And I told her that I had the expectation that she would continue to do so throughout her undergraduate career at UC Davis. She did. or so Zynab told me, and so her mom told me as well. Well, I appreciate Zynab's bravery. I appreciate every visit from a student in office hours. And I especially appreciate an opportunity to meet the parent of one of our students. It's a rare opportunity, and one that I very much enjoy. I'm able to offer to a third party the sort of praise that I've been offering to my students in this whole series of videos. It was like a dress rehearsal for these 6-minute recitations of appreciation and gratitude for my students at UC Davis. So, thank you, Zynab. Thank you for giving me something to remember. And thank you for being receptive to my attempts at empowering you and helping you find your voice. My name is Dr. Andy, and this is one of 365 videos chronicling lessons I've learned about teaching, memory, and gratitude from the students I've taught at UC Davis. If you've made it to the end of this video, and clearly you have, then you also have my appreciation. Give it a like, give it a thank you, say hello to me on Substack. You could say, I totally enjoyed your stories about Zynab. And I'll see you next time on Diary of a Quizmaster. Bye-bye.